Today's story is about a group of 4 high school girls who are stranded on a desert island. The story begins when a group of high school girls are dragged to a desert island. When the girls wake up, each one begins to introduce themselves respectively. This is how we meet Suzumori Asuka from Class C, a member of the basketball and athletics clubs, Cheyenne Kujo from Class 2B who has a dog and plays the organ. From Class A we have Umatemi Mutsu, who loves reading and cooking. She wears glasses and is the smart girl of the class. And finally, Onishima Hamar from Class F who doesn't seem to be interested in anything. Turns out that this isn't the first time she's been stranded on the island, and it's here that the girls realize that they're stuck in the middle of nowhere. 20 hours before the disaster, Hamar had a dream in which she is with her father, and it's thanks to him that she learned what must be done to survive. She wakes up and returns to the present and says that to avoid dehydration they obviously need to drink water, but they are in the middle of the sea, but the seawater is undrinkable. Hamar is smart and knows what to do in this kind of situation. She immediately catches some fish, wrapping them in her shirt and then crushing them, squeezing them until they drink her water. Cheyenne is still very thirsty, but she doesn't dare drink the fish water like Hamar, so Hamar gives her a solution. He asks Cheyenne to lie down, close his eyes and open his mouth. Above all, survival, and now, even without knowing it, he will drink Hamare's yellow water. The afternoon and night arrive and there is no rescue. The next day, the girls see that they are close to dry land, near an island. The bad thing is that they will have to swim, and for Hamar, this could not be worse, since there is a tiger shark prowling the area but nothing happens. Hamar takes care of the shark by electrocuting it with her cell phone battery. Then the girls finally manage to swim to the island, an uninhabitable island. Mutsu begins to suffer from symptoms of dehydration, and now the first thing the girls have to do is look for water. Hamar, as an expert in these situations, gives the girls instructions. She eats a flying grasshopper and Mutsu feels dizzy from dehydration, so much so that she has no saliva. But Hamar shares her saliva with Mutsu, and that is how Mutsu rehydrates and one eats the leg of a grasshopper. Although Asuka is good at sports and is athletic with good stamina, she cannot keep up with Hamar, and on the other side, Cheyenne finds a coconut that was dragged to the island. After walking a few kilometers, Asuka can't continue. She is exhausted and starts to feel dizzy. That's when Hamari immediately decides to dig a hole. She puts some dirt in a cloth, squeezes it, and then Asuka drinks water and is happy with the water that Hamar gave her. But then Asuka realizes that the cloth that drank water is Hamari's sock. On the other hand, Cheyenne wants to drink the coconut water, but the coconut she got is a little old and useless. And now Cheyenne is weak and has no energy to try to open the coconut in her weakness. In her desperation, she offers her yellow waters to the Mutsu. But in that moment of despair, it starts to rain, and now all the girls are happy because they can get water. Then Hamar tells the girls that in order to survive, they must first remember 3 rules of 3. First, if you don't regulate your temperature, you'll die in 3 hours. Second, without water, you'll die in 3 days. And third, without food, you'll die in 3 weeks. So the first thing to do is to build a shelter to keep your temperatures in good condition, but the girls aren't interested in that. They're just hungry and worried about wanting to eat. The girls insist to Hamar, and she has no choice but to be forced to look for food. And that's how Hamar finds that furry thing in a mysterious jar, bugs and algae. And that's how the girls manage to survive the second day. The third day arrives and the rescue team still hasn't arrived. Hamar tries to build a shelter and Asuka throws a tantrum because she's hungry, and now Hamar has no choice but to go look for something to eat. So Asuka and Hamar go to the forest, and on the way Asuka finds a plant that looks like tubers. She insists on eating it since it looks like a good, filling and edible food, but Hamar forbids her to do so because it is a type of plant she is unfamiliar with. So to find out if the plant is edible or not, Hamar does a patch test and Asuka volunteers to do the test. Hamar sticks the plant in Asuka's butt, and it doesn't take long for it to take effect. As a result, the plant is poisonous, and to reduce her hunger, Asuka has no choice but to eat insects, just like Hamar. On the other side, Cheyenne begins to think about her parents' feelings, who are certainly very worried. Now waiting for rescue, Cheyenne begins to look for ways to clean herself and asks Hamar to improvise something to take a bath. So Hamar goes straight to the point and creates a shower that is not up to the girls' expectations but can be used so that Cheyenne can take a good bath. Sometime later, Hamar and Mutsu go out to look for shells on the beach. There they find many hermit crabs and clams, so for now food will not be a concern. So Hamar lights a fire and the girls enjoy a delicious meal. After enjoying the feast, Hamar tells the girls that she saw footprints that looked like those of a squirrel. Hamari's intention is to catch it and obviously eat it. And while there are different methods of trapping an animal, Hamar is happy to explain the different methods of hunting to the girls, and that's how the girls start looking for some tools holes to create some traps. Asuka finds a frog that for Hamar could be edible, so he asks Asuka to catch it. Asuka catches it with her skirt, and obviously to eat it they will have to kill it. So Asuka releases the frog and pretends that it escaped. Along the way collecting water, Hamar comes across a burrow that looks like it belongs to a rabbit, so the prey transforms from a squirrel to a rabbit or whatever it falls into. With the wood and rope that Hamar had collected, she begins to prepare different traps. Traps are successfully set at different points. Asuka tests one of the traps, it falls and the trap works successfully. And now they just have to wait for the rabbit or any other animal to fall into the trap and hope that they can catch it in 2 or 3 days, according to Hamar. But this is something that worries Cheyenne because for now the girls have nothing to eat and Cheyenne is tired of eating the same things like crabs. But Hamar promises that this time she will look for something different, and that is how Hamar and Asuka venture to the bottom of the ocean. After a while the girls return to the shelter. Cheyenne is happy, but Hamar and Asuka only find starfish and Cheyenne becomes depressed when she sees that they did not get what she wanted. Sure, she's the rich girl in school, but seeing Hamari's injured hands and seeing that they did their best for the good of all the girls, Cheyenne stops complaining and thanks Hamar. The next day, the girls go into the forest to check if the traps have been activated, and since the target is a rabbit, Asuka is terrified because she doesn't dare kill it with her own hands. However, when the girls get to the traps, they see that nothing has been activated yet, so everything is still intact. That moment, the girls see smoke coming from the shore and they immediately run away thinking it is a rescue team. But when they get to the beach, they ask Cheyenne if she had seen anything. Cheyenne doesn't know anything. She just lit the fire because she thought she had seen something, but it was nothing. She apologizes for her mistake with the girls, starts crying, and Matsu consoles her. Asuka also cries, as does Matsu. Hamar is terrible with this kind of situation, but she remembers what her father told her, that the best thing to do in difficult times is a barbecue. And so it is that Hamar takes Cheyenne to look for buried fish in the sea, taking advantage of the low tide. So they find many buried fish, and so the girls have a barbecue. The girls' mood improves and they are happy. The next morning, while Matsu and Asuka are walking through the forest, they realize that one of the traps has been activated and there is indeed a rabbit there. Matsu tries to catch him by knocking him out here and there, but she can't, so Asuka intervenes, and although it's hard for her, everything is for survival, she gives him the final blow. On the other hand, Hamar was disappointed because the trap hadn't worked so far. That's what she thought, because at that moment Matsu and Asuka appeared with the prey. With the prey and the food in their hands, Hamari and the Jamari girls immediately got to work, making stone knives to cut the rabbit meat, and Matsu is ready to cut and clean the prey. With Hamari's explanation, Matsu starts pulling and cutting the fish, while Asuka and Cheyenne are scared to death, but in the end everything works out. After the rich girl suggests cooking the meat in the elegant French style, and although it seems impossible with the few ingredients, with Hamari's genius they manage to make a good meat feast. In the end the girls are satisfied, happy and grateful for the little rabbit. Now Hamar tells the girls that she wants to explore the island, and now they must prepare to survive the winter since nothing is certain, and there is no indication that they will be rescued. Hamari's idea is to find a better place to camp, so together with Matsu she goes to explore the island, leaving Cheyenne and Asuka alone. After exploring for a while they find a pier. Matsu is very optimistic, as he hopes that there will be people on the island. However, the sun is about to set, it is late, and it is better to camp right there for the night. Matsu asks Hamar why she chose her to explore the island, to which Hamar responds that she is taller and adapts quickly to any survival situation. Till Matsu worries about Asuka and Cheyenne, Hamar also worries about them, but in fact Asuka and Cheyenne were chasing them the whole time, so they all meet up again. Hamar improvises a hammock and they all sleep together. In the morning, it is time to explore the island. Through exploring the area, Asuka comes across a Japanese fruit, so everything indicates that the island belongs to Japanese territory. Then Cheyenne arrives and tells the girls that he found a house, a destroyed house. Hamar explores and gets excited because she found a pair of scissors. So they continue exploring and Hamar sees smoke coming from the coastal area. So the girls immediately go to the place, and when they get to the area they realize that there is no one and the smoke is coming from the steaming waters, but the girls take the opportunity to relax, taking a nice steam bath, all the while enjoying the view of the moon and the constellations. Suddenly the girls start to feel cold, the water gets deeper and deeper, and suddenly they are submerged and are carried away by the sea, but still the girls spend the night. Time to wake up, time for breakfast. After breakfast the girls go back to camp, but first Hamar wants the rope that is stuck underwater. And Hamar, with her survival knowledge, checks the depth of the water and then jumps in. She falls, pulls and grabs the rope, but now the problem is how Hamar is going to get up. However, thanks to the special technique that her father taught her, she manages to get up. Now it starts to rain immediately. The girls go to the shelter soaked in water. They get to the shelter and Asuka wants to take advantage of the wet weather to fish in the sea. She goes in and the sea is struck by a clear lightning. We all think the same thing, but the good thing is that it was just a scare and now the girls scream with every lightning that falls. Out of nowhere, the clouds dissipate and the sun shines again. Asuka goes back into the water and now she is stung by a jellyfish. The good thing is that Hamar is there and knows what to do. All of this, of course, thanks to the knowledge and wisdom that her father taught her. Now Hamar is excited because she created a scissor knife. While the girls complain about the ultraviolet rays of the burning heat of the sun, Hamar catches a squid and here she remembers that her father gave it to her. He said that exposure to ultraviolet rays can lead to a decline in the immune system. Here it is also worth remembering that squid ink works as sunscreen, but unfortunately the ink is only enough for one person. Even so, Hamar creates a sunscreen with seaweed, so she does the whole process here and there, but Cheyenne bumps into them and spills all the liquid on Hamar and Asuka so she can rub herself against Hamar to get the liquid. Now, Asuka, Matsu, and Hamar are protected from the sun, except Cheyenne since she is the only one without sunscreen. Still, Hamar helps Cheyenne dry the squid liver and its fat also works as sunscreen. That's good, now all the girls are protected. The next day, when Hamar and the other girls were walking through the forest, Matsu is bitten by a fly. Although it doesn't seem serious, Hamari's survival instinct kicks in and she treats Matsu immediately. Now, Asuka and Cheyenne fight over making a stretcher and a clothesline. Cheyenne wants a clothesline because she doesn't want to leave her panties exposed, but Hamar remembers that her father taught her that there is no shame in a state of survival. And it is that thanks to Hamar, and if it were not for the teachings of her and her father, the girls would not have been able to survive. Now Hamar took a large amount of bamboo that could be very useful to build a shelter. Once all the bamboo is gathered, Hamar and the girls build a good shelter. So while all the girls are working, Cheyenne takes a lazy breath. But then she runs scared shitless from one that almost stung her. And of course, if there are bees nearby, there is a beehive, so Hamar and the others find the hive and can't miss the opportunity to get carbohydrates, and although bees are dangerous because of their stings and allergic reactions, Hamar and the others place a smoking torch at the bottom of the log and the bees come out the other side. Hamar asks the girls to get down on the ground when all the bees in the hive come out. Hamar goes in and slowly collects the honey with the help of the others. Hamar comes out with a few bites, but the good thing is that they manage to collect the honey successfully, and luckily Hamar is not allergic to bee stings and treats her stings with her own honey. In the end, the girls are happy with the honey. The next day, Hamar and the others go fishing on the beach, but Cheyenne doesn't know how to swim. Hamar suggests using a raft. Cheyenne is happy and excited because she will finally be able to catch something cool. While the others go looking for firewood in the forest, Hamar dives and manages to catch something, and when she comes to the surface, she sees that there is a countercurrent in the sea, and from there Hamar is shocked to see that Cheyenne has disappeared. Hamar screams her name and the girls learn of the situation. Cheyenne was swept away by the current. Still, Hamar is willing to rescue Cheyenne, so she immediately asks Asuka and Matsu for help and they build a raft. Hamar is willing to sacrifice herself to find Cheyenne, and has sworn to the girls to rescue her. On the raft, Hamari's visibility is very limited, and even if she is swept away by the same current, the chances of finding Cheyenne are very low. Meanwhile, we see Cheyenne in the middle of the ocean. She is very worried, scared, and crying. She also feels thirsty and tired. There, she reflects on her mistakes and hopes that the others are okay. In the middle of the sea, she finds a small island, so she rows to it. Cheyenne manages to get there, but that island is a rock with no trees, no plants, no life, so it is impossible to find water. Even so, Cheyenne does not give up and explores the place, but finds nothing, so without knowing what to do, she just has to give up. Meanwhile, Hamar searches for Cheyenne and does not give up easily. And it is that the memories of her father make her optimistic under any circumstances. That moment, her field of vision is very limited, but she manages to jump with the bamboo pole. Meanwhile, Cheyenne gives up, but at that moment Hamar finds her. Hamar teaches us that no matter what happens, there is always a way to find the solution. Now, the problem is that Hamar did not bring water with her, so at this rate, the two will become dehydrated. Cheyenne shows Hamar a cave she found, but the cave is full of bats, mud, and rotten water, so there's no way to drink it. However, Hamar takes some of the water and they make preparations to return to an island. Along the way, they both start to suffer from symptoms of dehydration. Cheyenne wants some of the rotten water, but Hamar forbids it because it would be dangerous to drink. But Hamar comes up with a method to drink it, and since the colon and intestines absorb water, they will have to drink the water through there. They have no other choice, they have to do this to survive, so Hamar uses her mouth and that way the two rehydrate themselves. After a few hours, they make a tiring journey and finally reach the island and Cheyenne joins the girls. How amazing is Hamar for ensuring her friend's safety. She put her friend's safety before her own. Tsuka and Mutsu are very happy. They already had dinner prepared for their friend's return, so they eat together, then rest, and the next day they return to their survival activities. Then we see Hamari's father on a boat to the island, and that's how it ends.